Hello, everybody. Sunday Adelaja here from Kyiv, Ukraine. Well, I'm having a very special assignment today. And that assignment is to talk as a Nigerian. So I want to use this opportunity to invite all Nigerians and anybody who loves Nigeria and who has Nigerian relatives. Please get in touch with all your Nigerian friends and send this video to them if you wish, even to my opponents, even to the people who are on the other side of the barricade and people who don't believe in what I'm saying. Well, let them hear my arguments. At least maybe it will be a good idea for them to come up with their own counter argument. So what I'm doing is my strongest case so far for Buhari. I believe that Buhari deserves another term, not because he has done to the best that I would have expected. No, he has not done as much as I would have expected. But when you compare him to the option that we have, and the alternative we have is Atiku and PDP, no, I will say no. Who out of the two deserves more to come back as the rulers of Nigeria? It will be Buhari. Now, some people who are my friends and colleagues and followers will say, Pastor, but why should you support Buhari when we have other candidates? Why don't you support one of the other candidates? Well, if I know that the other candidates are not going to win, I am not going to put my efforts and my resources in a basket, just like pouring water in the basket. I'm not going to put my energy in a losing team. And I know some of the young guys that are there that I like, that I really admire so much, would have been preferable to come up and be the contestants and the people who could win, but they cannot. We just face the reality. So because of that, we are dealing with what we have right now. And so out of the two contestants that we have, Buhari and Atiku, of course, I'm going to make a case why I believe Buhari deserves another term. Why I believe Buhari deserves another term in comparison to Atiku. Now, when you compare him to others as well, it's still better because even though I support, I like Showore, I like Obi Ezekwesili, I like Tope Fashua, I like Kingsley Mogale. Those are the people I really think are the best on the line. But they have not been tried. They have not been tested. They have not managed the nation before. So out of the people that we have here, these are the two leading contestants, Atiku and Buhari. And I am making a case for Buhari that he deserves another term. So now, but in this particular project, what I am going to say is that Buhari does not only deserve another term, why, it's not just that I'm saying Buhari deserves another term, but I also want to make a case for his achievements and only facts. Let's just go by facts. This information I got from Nigerian news media just by studying and doing research and looking at empirical facts, okay? So even the PDP people will not contend this. And because you just go and check it out. These are facts that are out there in the public and that the international organizations have also asserted to. And on the basis of these facts, why I think that the nation should have done better and could have done better, the government could have done better, but if we consider where we are coming from, then when they have this background, they will do much more better in the next 4 years. So definitely I believe that Buhari deserves to stay and continue for another 4 years because then his achievements will be much more better than what we have right now. So number one, now, here I say the PDP got $1 trillion from crude oil in 16 years, right? And we can't see any I cannot see any visible change in the country. Rather, the country has gotten worse. The country has gotten worse from the 80s when I was in Nigeria, and it has even gotten worse from the 90s. So can you imagine 1 trillion naira for a government? I mean, $1 trillion, not naira, sorry. $1 trillion. $1 trillion. $1 trillion. I mean, How many economy do we have that has $1 trillion? You know, only 20 countries have economy that is above 1 trillion. I mean, actually less, 15 countries or so, or less than 20 countries, less than 10, 15 countries have $1 trillion economy. $1 trillion economy. Only, actually, maybe less than 10, about 10, less than 15 countries in the world have $1 trillion economy. That 1 trillion that the PDP made in 16 years is bigger than the GDP of Nigeria today. Is bigger than the official GDP of Nigeria. The official GDP of Nigeria is less than 500 billion. Is less than half a trillion. But in 16 years alone, we made more than the GDP of Nigeria twice. We are not even talking about all the other money that we made for all the 50-something years of our independence. I'm only saying for the time that the PDP was in power. And this is the official number that is there everywhere. So where is the money? If the money is not put in the economy, we can't see any change in the economy, but rather it went worse. What happened to the money? That's why I'm not ready to let any PDP come back again. At least not for now. So if they made 1 trillion and we can't see any change for the better in the country, but Buhari came and in 3.5 years, almost 4 years, he's only made less than 100 trillion. I mean, less than 100 billion, 97 billion. So let's even say he made 100 billion. That is the money he made, not just from the from oil, because the price of oil has reduced. So that is like 10 times less. And that's how much he made. He made 10 times less money than PDP government. And let's now compare what has Buhari done with that 10 times less income than the PDP compared to what the PDP did. So of course, I don't know why he made infrastructure his priority, but infrastructure is needed if we are going to. I think he wants to lay the foundation for the upsurge of the economy in the future. So, and he has basically turned the nation into a giant construction site. Not enough. I think they could have done more, but at least compare. We are seeing more construction now going on than we saw during the time of PDP when they had a river of money. Next point. It is the PDP that looted Nigeria into the recession. Now, this is another issue that Nigerians talk about. We talk about the fact that Nigeria is in depression or recession, and that there is no money. I agree. Nigeria is in recession right now, and there is no money. Agree. And everybody is crying foul. Yes. But it is not Buhari who brought the country into recession. I mean, do you know cause and effect? There is no, if we are seeing the effect in the economy now that there is no money, it means we only have the effect today because of the cause that was there yesterday. It cannot happen in such a short time. The reason why we have economic recession right now and where we are the poorest people in the world right now is not because of what has been done in the last 4 years alone. It is because of what has not been done in the last 16 years. And as a result of the looting and the stealing and because of what happened to the $1 trillion, that is why we are right now in recession. Can you imagine if that $1 trillion had been put into the economy and it has empowered Nigerians? Of course we will not be in this depression, in this recession. Of course we will not be the poorest nation in the world. So that's why I'm supporting Buhari to come back, because he is not the one to blame for the recession and economic difficulty that we have right now. He's the people who have been leading us since 1999. But right now, even the World Bank and the IMF and the whole world has said that we have come out of recession. Now we are only hardly living less than 2% of growth, but at least we are no more in recession. Recession is going down, but we are now at least level and on the way to going up again. So, and that's why I think that we should let Buhari stay back so that he could lead us into, because he brought us out of depression, let him now lead us into growth. So now, but for me, the greatest proof of this is what is happening in Venezuela. Go to YouTube and look for Venezuela. Nigeria and Venezuela were at the same level 10 years ago, 20 years ago. We were on the same level. In fact, at the point, Venezuela was making more money than Nigeria. We were the same kind of economy. Our economy resembles one another because the Venezuelan economy is fully dependent or almost fully dependent on oil. And Nigeria economy also dependent on oil. We went into depression or recession at the same time. Now that Nigeria is coming out of recession, look at what's happening in Venezuela. This is what would have happened to Nigeria if PDP would have remained in power. If Jonathan had won and if PDP would have remained, we would have been experiencing the very same thing that Venezuela is experiencing right now. For that, I think the whole of Nigerian nation owns it to Buhari and his government. That yes, thank God that Buhari came and salvaged the country and we are not experiencing what Venezuela is experiencing right now. Compare Nigeria and Venezuela economy. Thousands of Venezuelan citizens are crossing over to their borders, to Brazil, to, and other countries, running away from economic hardship. That would have been happening to Nigeria. Even though we think it's bad in Nigeria right now, and the Nigerians are running away, that is nothing. I mean, in Venezuela, people are eating, they are eating even dead people. That is how bad things are there. Things are bad, but thank God that this man came in, and with his team, they've been able to lead us, to at least a level ground and to the path of economic recovery. Now, you say, okay, that's Venezuela. Why should you compare us with Venezuela? Because we are in the same situation. Okay, let's look at another country. If you don't want Venezuela, go to Greece. We have a church in Greece. We have churches in Greece, and we have a lot of friends in Greece. I know what is going on in Greece. Look at what is going on in Greece, or what happened in Cyprus the other time, a few years ago, when people almost lost all their money in the banks, and the government had to seize all the money in the banks because of economic recession and took up all the money of the people. We didn't have to go through that in Nigeria. And in Greece, you know what happened in Greece? The European Union had to come and bail them out. We didn't even have to go through that. And that is because we got somebody with conscience who stopped the stealing and the looting of the country and started, investing those things back into the economy. Now, look at, for example, when Buhari just came, it was the people who were there, they were telling us that this snake or something was eating the money, that the income of JAMB. The money was being eaten by a snake. And it was the new administration and the new leadership that Buhari put there that were able to stop that trend and were able to say, because somebody will say, but the person who said the snake swallowed the money was during the Buhari. Yes, because it was the commission, the new team of Buhari that came and started doing investigation and asking people. But that person that said that was not put there by Buhari, he has been there for the past 10 years. But so they now remove all of them and put new people. For the first time, JAMB started bringing in money to the federal government. But it's not only JAMB. Look at, for example, before I go to the other parts of the economy, let's talk about the $1 trillion that came in during PDP. Despite the $1 trillion earning under PDP, Nigeria was still owing $6 billion to the multinational oil partners. The oil companies who are doing off oil drilling, or what they call off-sea or off-ground in the sea, and the people who are, we have partnership, right? But Nigeria was supposed to be giving them their money. Nigeria, despite the $1 trillion that we gained, we couldn't even pay them their $6 billion money. $6 billion we couldn't pay to the oil company, and that's why they just stopped working, and it led to a lot of job losses, and people it led to the recession of the economy, because if the oil company is not working, it's not just job losses, it's the production of barrels that is affected, the amount of oil that we produce, is our income that is affected. It's the lifeline of the Nigerian economy, and the government, Nigerian government, out of $1 trillion that these oil industries made for Nigeria, we couldn't even give them their money back. Their own part, they were supposed to be getting 40% or something. We were still owing them $6 billion since 2000. So for 16 years, we are still not paying the oil companies their own part. But when Buhari came, in less than 2 years, he was able to, even though he was not making as much money, he was making 10 times less money, but he was able to still pay these oil companies back, and our productivity is being restored, even though the general oil of price worldwide has been reduced. So the Nigerian custom, so apart from, I spoke about the money that came in from JAMB, but apart from that, there's other agencies that started performing, like the customs. Nigerian customs now is becoming an economic giant, just like in any other country. Nigerian custom now is remitting 2 trillion into the treasury. 2 trillion, that is like 1/3 or 1/4 of our whole economy, of our own budget, of our whole budget. The budget of Nigeria is about 8 trillion, and these people, this man that they put there, great guy, is an old man, he doesn't wear the uniform and things like that, but he's making things happen. Now, he's remitting 2 trillion to the Nigerian treasury, to the Nigerian budget. But when the PDP people were there and the last government of Jonathan, they were just doing 50-something billion. 50 billion naira. Can you see the difference? Where was all the money going to? Because of corruption. Now 2 trillion is coming. That is why the highest budget we ever had under Jonathan was about 3-4 billion. But now it's going to 8 billion, despite the fact that, can you imagine, how could we be having a budget of 4 trillion, that's under Jonathan, when we were making oil, oil was selling for $100 and $140. So we were making let's say in 16 years, we were making $1 trillion, and our budget was like this. Where was all the money going to? And these people that are making, even in a year, 3 times less money every year, their budget every year is 3 times, almost 2 or 3 times more than 2 times more than the one when we were having all the money. Where was the money going? Why were they not even using it for the country? So that is one of the reasons why I will support Buhari again. Now, let's look at another agency that is performing really well and bringing money. So why am I talking about this, this money that is coming from JAMB, from customs, from federal inland revenue? Because that is diversification of the economy. Before, all this money were not coming from any other source. There was so very little that were coming in. Only our dependence was mainly on oil. So this is leading to diversification of our income. So we are earning revenue now, not just from oil, but we have other revenue sources that are even going to be strong enough to finance our budget very soon. So the Federal Inland Revenue Service now remits close to 4 trillion. That is half of the budget. 4 trillion naira to the treasury, unlike under the PDP administration when they were only remitting 2 trillion. Now, somebody will say, but what is the difference? We can't feel it on our table. We can't, no food. What is the essence of all this money coming in when there is no food on the table? No, if there had not been this excess money coming in, we would have been going deeper. Our recession would have lasted for another 10 years. It is this money that is coming in that is now bringing us out of recession and is now giving the government the economic muscle to be able to at least begin to rebuild the economy. So someone will say, but what about the money from oil? Well, the 8 trillion, you see, why is it that, let me tell you what, why is it that only 4 trillion was being budgeted for during BDP? Out of that 4 trillion, 3 trillion was coming from oil, according to them, and only 1 trillion from all other economy. But now, what do we have? We have 3 trillion coming from oil, actually less than 3, about 2 trillion coming from oil, and all other 6 trillion is coming from internally generated revenue. Brilliant. So now the economy of Nigeria is now less than 20% dependent on oil, and is now reflected in the budget. Before, we used to say that, but it was not reflected in the budget. Now it's reflected in the budget. The implementation of the Treasury single account, which we should have to give credit to Jonathan government, they conceived it. They came up with the idea. I think it was Ngozi Iweala that came up with that. But they couldn't do it. They were there for 6 years and they didn't do it. And it took 6 years. They couldn't do it in 6 years, but in 4 years, or less than actually 2 years, Buhari was able to do it. And what does that mean? That is what allows all those money coming from all these ministries to be collated together. And that's why we're having now 4 trillion, as of the last count that I checked, 4 trillion, over 4 trillion has been accumulated there. 4 trillion. Just coming from all these ministries and government agencies. And you say, but where was the money going to? But before, every ministry was doing whatever they like with it. And they were just sending in peanuts. But now that cuts down corruption. And I think Buhari needed to be acknowledged and given the credit for that. Now, there is another policy that was implemented under Buhari, which is BVN. Do you know that thanks to BVN alone, 75,000 ghost workers were discovered? These 75,000 were receiving salary and get eating at the expense of Nigeria and federal government. And they were not alive, or maybe it was just corruption. So this 72 billion, how much does it come to in naira? It comes to 200 billion per year. 200 billion naira every year was going to people who are getting double salary. 200 billion. But thanks to BVN, that has now been cut off. And that's why more money now could come into the society. That's why people are saying there's no money in the economy, because they were getting it not from merit, not from diligence, but from crook, from theft. Unlike before, when fuel scarcity, I mean, look at December, we are in January right now. This was, for the last 20 or 16 years or so, this was the first time when there was no fuel scarcity in Nigeria in December for the new year. I mean, no fuel scarcity. Everybody traveled to their places, to their village. Even for that alone, I think Buhari needs to be commended and even voted back into the government, because Nigeria produces oil, but we've not been able to solve the problem. Every new year, we are always having, line and queues, and fuel scarcity was always a plague upon the country. For that alone, Buhari deserves to be re-elected, because he solved the problem. Now, electricity. Can you imagine? Nigeria has been independent for 50-something years. And electricity, almost 60 years. And electricity we've not been able to provide for ourselves. Now, but these people have only been there for less than 4 years, about 4 years. And in these 4 years, they've not been done too much, but they have doubled the amount of electricity that we are producing. PDP took 16 billion for it, and we can't see electricity at all. But these people have spent only 2 billion. And the electricity has gone from 3 to 7 gigabytes. From 3. PDP with only 16 billion and nothing to show for it. 3 gigabytes. Now it's 7. Actually, 8 gigabytes is being produced, but 7 is being distributed. They have doubled it, almost triple it. The 3 kilowatt Mambila hydro power project, which was conceived decades ago, has now received counterpart funding from the federal government. And it has been awarded to a Chinese construction company, which is going to pay $5.7 billion to build it. And the money is coming from their bank, from them. Okay, people say it's a loan. Yes, it is a loan, but it's not high interest, first of all. But secondly, what about the one that is not loan, 16 billion, that didn't produce anything? But this one is loan, at least we see what it's doing. And so most of the fund is coming from China Exim Bank. But some people talking about the loan, that Nigeria is going into debt and something like that. Look, the debt that the federal government made is much more than the money they have taken right now. Okay, let's say we have $30 billion debt right now. But this government has only taken 10 billion. The 20 billion is coming from the other government. They met it on ground. So they took 20 billion, this one take 10 billion, but the 20 billion loan that they took, we can't see what they did with it. Because they were using the loan to pay salaries during Jonathan's time. But now, the 10 billion, we see the constructions going on all over the country. All right, Buhari has recovered looted funds of over 1 trillion looted under Jonathan alone. This is under Jonathan alone. We're not even talking about the ones that were before Jonathan. 1 trillion. And our budget is only 8 trillion. We have, in 3 years, it has been recovered. And many of them have not even been recovered yet. But this money that has been recovered is being put back into the economy. Buhari has been able to purchase over $1 billion worth of military hardware to fight terrorism. You remember that America would not even sell military equipments and warfare and planes to Nigeria because they didn't trust us, because they saw the corruption, that the money for was going somewhere and they were not even fighting. So America and other developed countries refused to sell us hardware for military hardware. But now, because there is trust that is restored back to Nigeria, thanks to Buhari administration, now we could buy and be more effective in the fight against Boko Haram. Somebody will say, what fight against Boko Haram? Well, you know that there were 26 local governments under Boko Haram's regime, under a secession or rulership, but now there is no. Somebody said, no, there is. Okay, how many? 1, 2, 3? Let's even say 1, 2, 3 local governments are still under them, which I believe the government that there is none. And Americans have confirmed that there is none. The British have confirmed that there is none local government that is under them. They just do terrorist acts like any other places, like in Sudan, like in America, like in Syria, like in Afghanistan, like any place where those military, Islamic people are. So from 26 local government under a secession group to none, I think this government also deserves some credit for that. Oh, they have not stopped. Oh, well, the whole world is fighting ISIS. Have they, you know how much, they have not even been totally eradicated up to now. And you know how much money has been put into it? You know how many countries are fighting? And they are still having the same destructions going on. Talk less of Nigeria alone trying to combat, with the African countries trying to combat this Boko Haram. We should give honor to who honor is due. Now, we have kidnappings, but the kidnappings now is not compared to what was there during Jonathan. The kidnapping during Jonathan was horrible. Kidnappings, we're still there. Even the president himself admits that the kidnappings are still going on, but that he's going to focus more on that the next time. But we had more smuggling, because that's why we're able to have more money now. We used to have more armed robbery and brazen embezzlement of public funds. All of them have reduced under President Buhari. Some PDP will come and say, no, it has increased, but we need the facts for that. Buhari took us from a one-product and oil-dependent economy to a diversified economy, from spending billions of dollars on rice importation and from being the biggest rice importation nation in the world to becoming the biggest producer in Africa and the sixth in the world. I saw it myself. If you go to Google and just write the highest rice producers in the world, just put 10 or 20 highest rice producers in the world. I saw Nigeria that was listed in one of the highest rice producers in the world for the first time in history. I was so happy. We are one of the world top producers of rice right now. I must of course say that maybe the old revolution started under PDP when they had Akin something, whatever the name of the agri minister was. But these people have done much better, because they were there for 6 years, and in 3 years, these people have done much better. They have increased 2 times the production of rice in Nigeria. So Buhari is also putting billions of naira in the pockets of ordinary Nigerians directly. It has only happened during Undoji's time, when money was put into the hand of Nigerians directly. But this guy has been able to put money in the hands of Nigerians directly, not just through direct giving, but at least even through rice. This right, for example, the rice-related Anchor Borrowers Program has increased. We used to have 6 million farmers in Nigeria, rice farmers, But right now, they are 12 billion. So to increase in 4 years the amount of farmers, people are going back to the farm, and from 6 to 12 billion, that is commendable. And they're out of those 12 billion, 4 million of them are millionaires. But I think these millionaires are in Naira. But 4 million out of almost 40%, or almost like 30% of the people who are dealing in that business are millionaires. And it's going to only get better. So I think they deserve to remain there for the next 4 years to continue what they're doing. So, but then I said the Nigerian government has started putting money to reduce the amount of poverty. Somebody will say, but we are still the poorest capital, the poverty capital of the world. Yes, we are. But you see, one thing you must know is that, right now we have, is it 87 million people that are living in abject poverty, according to the World Bank statistics. And then we have overcome India, because India used to have over 100 million. But the only thing is that, India is reducing its poverty rate and the poor people faster than Nigeria. That doesn't mean that we have done worse than under PDP, because even during the PDP regime, the statistics says we were 103 or 106 million. We had 106 million Nigerians living in abject poverty. Now 87. So it's reducing, but we are still the capital because India has moved faster. They have reduced the amount of poverty or poor people more than we are moving. But we couldn't move fast enough because of our recession. But we have still been able to reduce. And thanks to this program, it has reduced from almost 110, 106 to 87. So, they have to move faster. And I think that if you give them another chance, they will reduce the amount of poor people in Nigeria through this kind of program. So cash is paid directly to the poor via the conditional cash transfer of a non-refundable sum of 5,000 naira per person every month under Buhari. 10,000 naira per person is being paid also under the trader money program. And this amount can be scaled up to 100,000 if the beneficiaries pay back the loan. But if they don't pay back the loan, they will have it. And then the 5,000 is non-refundable. So the government is giving to the poor of the poor. And when I get the report and I see the joy in the eyes of the people when the VP is going all over the nation, I'm surprised that a lot of Nigerians have never even seen 5,000 before. They've never seen 5,000 before. And somebody is fighting this because we are living in an aristocratic society where only the privilege only belong to the class people, to the upper class. And the upper class, to them, 5,000 is nothing. But they are not thinking about their fellow citizens that 5,000 is like $1 million to. And that's why I support this trader money and this unrefundable 5,000 gift to poorest Nigerians. Over 15 million children are getting 1 meal a day with a drink, and this has increased school enrollment. Yes, we were having 13 million, but I think we're having 15 million people out of school. Now it has reduced to 13 million, but because we're having children growing up all the time, I think, is that we have to move faster. But at least, there was a time, I think we were even having 10 million before. Then it grew to 13 million, and then they are reducing it. But the more they are reducing it, it's not as fast as our population growth. So, but at least, some of these children wouldn't have been in school if not for this meal. Some of them go to school just to eat. So, and I think we should support the government to even do more of this school feeding program. Now, over 4,000 capital projects were included in the 1918. I don't know how many of them have been done, but 4,000 capital projects that are going on by this government, that are being constructed. They are not finished. I can't say they are finished, but at least they included them. They are not even new ones, but mainly they are abandoned projects that were started by PDP or other governments even years back. But all these, 4,000 projects are capital projects. Money is now going into them. And the contractors that were not being paid before are now being paid. So Buhari has so far spent over 2 trillion naira on roads, bridges, airport, primary health care, etc. Compare that to 18 billion that was spent during the last budget of Jonathan. I think it was 18 billion that was budgeted for road. 18 billion. What is 18 billion? But these people have been able to do 2 trillion so far. I mean, that is for the 3 years, right? So, but it's much more than what has been done in the last 16 years. So 500,000 previously unemployed graduates now have jobs under Buhari's Power Program. Now, is that a lot? No, because especially with this government promising to have, is it 2 or 3 million employment produced every year? So this is nothing, but at least they are doing something. So that is, I think we could do better if we encourage them to go further. So pensioners who were forgotten are now getting paid, including ex-staffers of Nigerian Airways, 13 years after the company has closed down. And some of these pensioners, they are praying for Buhari, they are supporting Buhari, and because they have not been paid their pension before. Also, if can you imagine, for the first time in Nigeria took responsibility for the Biafran veterans, and now the Biafran veterans money is being paid to them, the gratuity, the people who fought against Nigeria for the secession of Biafra. But they are now being, because that is what will make them to feel like one Nigeria. Because there is no one Nigeria when you are not honoring these soldiers who fought for their convention, and we have reached agreement that we are one Nigeria. So all the debt and the pension that were owed to this Biafra, not all of them, but they started paying. The things that the federal government owed Biafra warriors since the 60s, it is now that Buhari is paying them. The ones that we didn't pay in the 70s, in the 80s, and the 90s, it is now that those pensions are being paid regularly on a monthly basis to these Biafran soldiers. You know what I mean? And I think that is enough to give this man the benefit of a doubt and let him come back. Thousands of Nigerians who have continued to die in roads that the PDP government did not build in 16 years or did not fix. Now they should be grateful to Buhari, because now there are 500 federal roads that are concurrently being constructed right now in Nigeria. 500 at the same time, federal roads. We are not talking about the things that the states and the local government are supposed to do, but the federal roads, that is commendable, I think. Federal roads, 500. There is not one state in Nigeria today where the federal government is not executing at least one road. This according to Raji Fashola, the former governor of Lagos State. Difficult or abandoned projects like Second Niger Bridge have been brought. Can you imagine? This was abandoned for years, and it was commissioned twice, so to say, by Obasanjo and I think it was Jonathan, and they were not doing anything on it. But now some people are even complaining, oh, they have not built it, why should they be using it as an example? But something is being done. Compare that to 16 years of abandoned negligence. They are working on it now. Sections of Ilorin-Jeba Road is being constructed. These are the things that have been confirmed and cross-checked. Sokoto to Jeba, Sokoto Ileta have been completed, while progress progress is being made at works on Jada to Mayo Belwa, Enugu to Port Harcourt, Lagos to Shagamu, Benin to Okene, Lokoja to Abuja, Kano to Maiduguri, Abuja to Kaduna, Kano and Kano Abuja or something, Kano, to mention a few. So these are the construction that I was able to gather that they are doing. There are some of them that there are more, 500 of them, but some people are disputing some. They are saying, oh, it's just the beginning of the work, or it's just half done, it's not completed. But at least they are doing their best to do something compared to what the abandonment that we had before. Millions of Nigerians will benefit from the dual carriage standard gauge rail lines scattered around the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria. Nigerian railways started working again. Before, when I was growing up in the 60s and the 70s, they were talking about Nigerian railway. Everything just came to an end, boom, since all these PDP people came on. But now, rail services have started. Oh, somebody will say, oh, but some of them were commissioned by Obasanjo or Jonathan before, but they were not completed. What stopped them from completing them with $1 trillion? With $1 trillion, you could rebuild the whole country. You know, right now, I'm having a project for Nigeria. It's called Nigerian Transformation Project. The whole budget for that project is $3 trillion. $3 trillion. With $3 trillion, we want to rebuild the whole Nigeria, build Abuja in every state. But they had $1 trillion, and we can't see anything, everything is getting worse. No, there is no way PDP can come back, I'm sorry. Even with Jonathan alone, he made $383 billion in 6 years. Almost $400 billion. Where is it? If that money had been put into the economy before now, we wouldn't have been in the depression, in the recession. Thousands of artisans, graduates draw on loans of over 50 billion made available to them through the Bank of Industry with only their university certificate serving as collateral. No collateral money. And I've seen videos of young people who are testifying about this. Boko Haram used to control 26 local governments in Nigeria, but it controls none now. 20,000 Nigerians have been rescued since Buhari came to power. 20,000 Nigerians from Boko Haram captivity, including 100 Chibok girls. Of course, not all of them yet. We still have over 100 in captivity. But at least before then, even these 100 people were in captivity. But 100 has come back out of the 200 and something. And then 100 Dapshi girls also have come back. It's not all of them yet. We still have one girl left. But at least, you know, there is progress. And I think if these people deserve to be given another chance, and that, you know, they could do a better job. They will surely do a better job to come back. Concerning Atiku, I've already made my case why Atiku cannot come back. I've written an article called, you know, for those planning to vote for Atiku Abubakar. And I've also done a video, 20 reasons why Atiku should not rule Nigeria again. But this is my own case for why Buhari deserves to come back. For the love of God, church, and nation. God bless Nigeria.